Douglas then taught himself to read and to write. By the time he was hired out to work under William Freeland, he was teaching other enslaved people to read by using the Bible. As word spread of his efforts to educate fellow enslaved people, Thomas All took him back and transferred him to Edward Covey, a farmer who was known for the brutal treatment of the enslaved people he was in charge of. Roughly 16 at the time, Douglas was regularly whipped by Covey. According to Douglas, Covey's abuse led to a climactic confrontation 6 months into Douglas' time with the farm. One day, Covey attacked Douglas, but Douglas fought back. The two men engaged in an epic 2-hour-long physical struggle. Douglas ultimately won the fight, and Covey never attacked him again. Douglas emerged from the incident determined to protect himself from any physical assault from anyone in the future. Afterwards, Douglas was transferred to multiple plantations, but he escaped slavery in September of 1838 by dressing as a sailor and traveling from Baltimore to Wilmington, Delaware by train. Then on to Philadelphia by steamboat, and from there to New York City. Black sailors in the 19th century traveled with documents granting protection under the American flag. Douglas used such documents to secure his passage north with the help of Anna, who, according to family lore, had sold her feather bed to help finance his passage. Anna would later become his wife. Within a speech delivered by Frederick Douglass in 1859 at the annual meeting of the Friends of Human Progress held in Waterloo, New York, Douglass delivered one of his most famous quotes about escaping from slavery. He said, and I quote, "I prayed for 20 years, but received no answer until I prayed with my legs." This quote, ladies and gentlemen, is powerful because Douglass is letting us know that sometimes in order to get out of the situations that we are in, we must be willing to do more than we are currently doing. Douglass, who was a slave, Douglass, who was beaten, Douglass, who was mistreated, did not become a free man until he partnered his prayers with action. That's powerful because many of us are looking for some changes. Many of us are looking for some upgrades. Many of us are looking to grow. Well, I come to tell you that if you want your situation to change, you have to be willing to not just pray, but you have to be willing to partner that prayer with some type of action. That's why the Bible tells us in James 2:26 that faith without works is dead. Because faith without works is a dead faith. Because the lack of works reveals an unchanged life or a spiritually dead heart. There are many verses that say true saving faith will result in a transformed life. The faith is demonstrated by the works we do. How we live reveals what we believe and whether the faith we profess to have is a living faith. In other words, the change that you are praying for in your life is tied not only to your prayers, but it's tied to your action. You can pray to God for a job, but ain't nothing going to change until you go and fill out an application. You can pray to God to cure your diabetes, but it's not going to change until you change the way you eat. You pray to God to help you with your attitude, but nothing's going to change till you stop giving energy to stuff that really don't matter. Nothing's going to change until you get up off your do nothing and put some action to your prayer. Because faith without works is dead. I begin here, ladies and gentlemen, because I believe that is the teaching tucked away in the text. This text today is found in the book of Mark. in chapter 10. It is a very familiar passage of scripture. It is the healing of blind Bartimaeus. Now, at the onset of this little Bible study, I want to let you know that the theme and thesis of this book is to point to Jesus as being God's Son. He writes about the authority Jesus had as the Son of God. Mark's writings focus on the actions of Jesus, that he was a servant, that he performed miracles, and that he was ultimately crucified and resurrected. Mark's gospel is an action-packed gospel, and as a matter of fact, Mark's gospel records more of Jesus' miracles than any other gospel. And the text today is one of those miracles. And at the onset of the text, we see that Jesus is in Jericho. Jesus is in Jericho because he is making his way to Jerusalem. And as he is passing through Jericho, he passes by a blind man named Bartimaeus. Bartimaeus is begging on the side of the road. And when Bartimaeus hears that Jesus is passing by, he begins to yell, "Hey, Jesus, thou son of David, have mercy on me." Bartimaeus, who is blind, Bartimaeus, who is a beggar, Bartimaeus, who has heard of this man named Jesus, who has heard of this man named Jesus, who claims to be the Messiah, who is hanging out with the least, the lowly, and the left out. He's going around preaching and healing people. Bartimaeus says, "I can't let this man be in my presence and I just let him walk by." Bartimaeus says, "I can't let this moment pass me by." Bartimaeus is saying that this is my time, and since this is my time, I'm going to put some action behind my faith. Hey, Jesus, thou son of David, have mercy on me. Bartimaeus teaches us a very valuable lesson, and that is there are moments in our life when we can't just sit back and accept our circumstances, but we have to seize the opportunity that's in front of us and declare that it's my time and declare that it's my season. Because in reality, you have the testimony that I've been blind long enough. You have the testimony that I've been a beggar long enough. You have the testimony that I've been on this highway long enough. But it's my time now. It's my time for change. It's my time for deliverance. It's my time for breakthrough. Tap your neighbor on the shoulder and say, "It's mine." It's my time. Saying that it's my time, it's just a declaration to move on from a season in your life where you were not being who God has intended you to be. And if we say that we are going to grow in 2024, if we're going to grow, you gotta get up off your do nothing and declare to yourself and everybody else that it's my time. You're probably saying, "Okay, Pastor, that sounds good, but I need some instructions on how I'm going to seize this opportunity." I'm glad you wanted to know because I sure got the answer. So let's walk by it. I got 3 little points and then we'll be on our way, all right? So if you're going to seize the opportunity that it's my time, point number 1 is you have to envision that you're more